Okay, my friends, the video coming up, I went way off the page, and we will get to this again. I was going to get into viruses and enzymes. They are the same, and they are both created by bacteria, and they are literally programs. Now, I want you to get your book and start writing up about what you can find out about vaccines. They train your immune response. So your immune knows how to, your body responds next time just as it's got a program in it. So it's programming. Now, what I want you to do is go through this, what it takes for this immune response to sense invasion. They have to sense the signature, the antigen, all of this stuff. But my point is right now is I went way off the page, and I told you I was not going to edit stuff out, and I'm not going to edit it out. It gets a little bit contentious, and but there are words that need to be said. So here it comes. Okay, my good friends, it's Roger once again, and again, it's all research. We're going to be talking about how vaccines are developed today. 100% research. And what we need to do is understand it from the standpoint of electron flood theory. Now, I am being mentioned in a lot of places because my research is valid. 140 highly cited papers are mentioning my name. They're mentioning my research. They're talking about it. They're discussing it quietly in the background. I'm not being able to speak outwardly because I'm not associated or affiliated to any university, and no university will speak about this because it flies in the face of everything they're talking about. I have a completely new atomic model, and it works with literally all of the biology and chemistry, and we're going to be talking about rare earth molecules, how they're formed and what they do and why they're superconducting and all kinds of things. But it's research, and we're going to start with the vaccines and how vaccines are developed. And I claim everything is biological, 100%, and I've shown that in all of the soft tissue preservation of the fossils that I have, DNA certified, no question about that stuff. So I understand the molecules. I understand that everything is from biology. And I know that's going to turn everybody off right there. The people that will not believe this are already out somewhere else in the woods now thinking about something else because they're never, ever, ever going to allow their mind to go into that realm. And those are the people from academia. And they are the ones missing the boat on everything. I presented, well, here it is right here. This is DNA certified evidence of my fossils. 5 years ago, presented it to Yale, where they wouldn't look at it. Nobody look at it. Not 100% won't look at it. None of it. That's a lung from a human being that was I'm saying these all happened in the Great Flood, which throws weight to the Bible, which they hate that. So we're going to have this gets extremely deep, the research, first of all. Secondly, we're not only going to do that, I'm going to want my students, get your books. Remember, I'm teaching now. Get your books, and we're going to find out what student rights are and what academic obligations there are. This is going to get pretty serious. I'm telling you right now, if they won't do their fiduciary duty, I'm claiming here expectations are to learn the truth and reality. That's what students expect. They want to acquire skills and become learned and make money. That's what they're there for. They're paying the money to get that, and they deserve that. Now, what is the academic obligations? Well, to investigate new knowledge. That's what schools are for. In my world, they were supposed to be the ones that told you what was real. Now, fiduciary duties. That means they have to put the student first. They are working for the best interest of the students, not for their best interest. Because they have so much sway and authority over them. They can't, first of all, they're taking money from them, and then they have to say exactly what the teacher says in the way the teacher says it and not object, or they'll fail them to keep the money, and then the kid's off. It's called a failure. I would have been a failure my entire life. I went on my own. I had to because I fought authority, and authority always won. So I said, I go on my own, and I did. Now, so have they had their fiduciary obligation to put the student first? Always, 100%. Well, then they also have to be honest, truthful, and fair. Now, is that happening? I don't know. I presented in 2012 all my specimens to everybody that would listen, and nobody would listen. And so everybody I called and talked to and emailed said, take it to Yale. And I tried, and I spoke to Derek Briggs there. And really, over the course of years and years, I didn't speak to anybody hardly other than Armand. I actually became fairly close with Armand. Armand Morgan, who was Briggs' assistant. Anyway, they refused, absolutely refused to examine it. And I said, I got DNA, I got all this stuff. So that tells me something. Now, this is only me. You make your own decision. But I presented them with my mud fossils. They refused. I said, I have DNA, I have CAT scans, I have specimens. They refused. 100% of the universities refused to examine them because they were giant human beings. It's my belief, that's my opinion. Because maybe if it was a monkey bone or something, they'd have been all over it. But it wasn't. I claimed they were giant human beings, and they are. I have giant human beings, and no question whatsoever, they're DNA certified. If they want to come and talk against it, then they have to present their evidence. I don't have it in here. I got them out back because I'm going to be showing where these are on the property, because they are on my property. And nobody's ever going to know about these if I don't document it, which I am going to. I got it somewhere on here. I got a tab that is going to say on one of these notebooks somewhere, that'll say Giants Out Back. I'm sure it's on this one here. No, maybe not. I don't know. I got it somewhere. But get back to this. I know I jump around a lot. But we're going to find out what their obligations are and what their duties are. And if you should, because look at this stuff up. Get your book, write it down. Look up what a fiduciary duty is and a fiduciary failure and gross and intentional fiduciary failure, which is, I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to hear from you. And, and actually, they said you need CAT scan, you need DNA, you need all these things. Well, actually, DNA didn't really exist in rocks back then. I was one of the first ones to extract DNA from the rocks and have the DNA tested. And it showed human beings, the codes, we went PCR. This was very sophisticated. This was no puppy. It wasn't a swab or anything. We took it right out of the blood. No. So, you have to look up what a fiduciary is and why they're refusing to do this, if that's acceptable. I think if you profess and you're being paid to profess truth, well, then you should seek out truth. And now it's being accepted. But back then it was rejected in a sort of a way that was very upsetting to me anyway. So now look up what racketeering is. Peer review, as far as I'm concerned, nobody would publish, nobody would talk, nobody would return phone calls. Everybody ridiculed everything that I did and said, where are you published? Where's your peer review? Where's this? That to me is creating a systemic refusal of truth, which is nothing more than what the mob did. They would put you, that's called racketeering. Now, what's extortion? Extortion is you pay us to get a good job, pay to play. And if you don't pay us, you're never going to get a good job. That's what the universities are saying. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, because I did very, very well for myself. And I didn't pay, well, I did go to college, but I didn't pay. I was on a GI Bill. But that's not neither here nor there, because you can do it yourself. You can do it yourself, and you're going to be able to do it with this, because nobody now is, the type of learning that's going to be happening is going to be online, and you don't have a face-to-face relationship with the professor at this moment, let's say. And first of all, secondly, it doesn't matter, because all you're going to do is suck up to them if you're going to get a good grade. And that's just, to me, I never could do that, so I never could get good grades. I never got good grades. Well, I did here or there when I really wanted to force the issue, but I never got good grades because I was always opposed to what they're saying. What they were saying was nonsense. And now, what do? You say, oh, yeah, 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 well, let me say exactly what you're telling me, then I can go out and get a job? To me, that's extortion. Well, anyway, you see what, and then intimidation means that you repeat exactly what they say or they will fail you. So they intimidate you. They say, hey, don't tell me that stuff, pal. And I had that happen to me, and I had to go against my professor. And I showed that I knowed more. I knowed. I knew more than him. And he could not keep up with me, so he ended up having to give me the A. But that's when I got really pissed off. And then I went from there on my own, understanding this is never going to work with these people. And then I looked through Velikovsky and all of these people, the same thing happened to. Tesla, everybody. 100%. You fight authority, authority is going to win. And they won over me, but I don't care because I got out of the business of that. I went into my own business, and I was very successful. So you don't have to play this game, and you can stand up for yourself. So what to do for justice? What are we going to do about this? Is this our students being served the way they thought they're being served? I don't know. It's up to you to make that determination, but I was really upset with Yale. And then they said, you need this, you need that. I ended up going to the University of Texas to get a CAT scan of a head that Jim Burchell and Arlie Caudle found in Kentucky. And I'm going to show you the head. All right, now here this is another sore spot. I saw this, Jim Burchell was showing this head on TV with Scott Walter. And I saw this, I said, because I already had all my research done, and then they call this feldspar. Well, feldspar is nothing more than this same fabric. It's exactly the same fabric as is on this lung. That's the fabric of life. It's on the outermost surfaces of all separation layers. They call it now interstitium. Of course, it's skin. It's anything that separates you from the outside world has fabric and layers in there. It's just what it is. It's a membrane. It's a tissue layer. And it separates you from the rest, so it's different. That's what I was going to call this fascia-facilitated fossilization, because the skin and the tissues always came out like this bone. Yale says that's just a rock. Derek Briggs says that's a rock. Now, that is a bone. I mean, anybody understands that really wants to understand it. So I kind of question his ability or his sincerity. I do. And that's up to you to make your own determination. But that, in my mind, is a bone, and it's been proven in a number of ways. Now, at any rate, this is the fabric you will find on the same thing as this head. Now, this was Jim Burchell found this, or Arlie Caudle found it. And so I saw it on TV. I had already been rejected by Yale. I said, I know that this is real. So I get back with Yale, and they say, oh, no, that can't be real. That's just carved in sandstone. The exact same thing that Scott Walter said on TV. So I got a hold of Scott Walter, and he just, oh, no, you don't know what you're doing. I'm an expert, and you're nothing. So that ended up going nowhere. And I have seen him lately, and the things he is saying are never correct. He's talking about concretions, those balls that are all over the place. They're not concretions. Those are tendon balls, and they are from huge creatures. Now, this is a guy's head. You see his nose and the cartilage in his nose and everything? They didn't carve that sandstone. You see that blood coming out of his forehead? You see that bone black? That is not accidental. It just grew out of that accidental rock, or somebody carved it in there and carved in that. Now, not only that, this thing actually has, I believe, a knit cap on. You see this? You see that weave? I believe this is a knit cap. And Jim told me that they could slide a playing card up underneath the side. Now, it looked to me like a knit cap. It could be anything, but who knows? That's not the point. The point is, it should have been looked at. Nobody would look at it. They absolutely refused. So I said, no, this is not right. And Yale said, well, you'd have to have a CAT scan and so forth. So I said, okay. I believe, as I recall, I asked them where they did their stuff, and because I wanted to be sure they did it the way they did it. And it was $1,500 from the University of Texas in Austin. Well, Jim took it down there to have it CAT scanned. It was not a really comfortable experience getting them to do it in the first place. Secondly, after it was done, they refused to speak not one single word. I called, I emailed, and finally I got very upset, and I just flooded them with emails. And what happened was I got a call from the police, and I got a call from lawyers saying that I was threatening and I was doing this and I was doing that. And I said, whoa, 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 I wanted one thing answered. And they intimidated me, and so I had to back down. Because at that point I didn't have DNA, I didn't have any of that stuff. So I took all my stuff and got a DNA certified, CAT scan, anatomist, chemistry. Still went back to Yale. They refused to examine it. And everybody else I talked to said, I'm only 20 miles from Yale. I'm right down the road. And they said, well, take it down to Yale. And I said, well, they won't look at it. And they said, well, what does that tell you? I says, it tells me they won't look at it. I'll send you the stuff. I'll send you the information. Well, I don't want to see it. Why should I see it if they don't want to see it? So I have a little bit of hostility towards Yale for refusing to consider what I consider to be their job. You make your determination. Now, so I went really off base on this video, but I think this is ultra important that this gets straightened out, because I have giant human beings. Giant, giant, giant. Let me show you something. That's a human hand. It's over 3 feet wide, DNA certified, and I took it right out of where the artery would be, the specimens. Now, you can see that's a left hand, and that's the little thing that runs down in your hand. You can see it in your hand, and that's the pad that runs around, and it's a different sort of material. It's a bumpery material. Now, the silver stuff here is from GripSkin. GripSkin is a very tough silicone-loaded skin, and it's in your palms and your fingertips and your toes and so forth. Now, I also have, hold on, see this, they say you can't get blood out of a rock. That's a lung, and it gushed blood, literally gushed blood. It dripped onto my counter. Now this is the one that we took the sample out of the red blood area down here, which is on a lung. Any first year, an 8-year-old can see what a lung is and see this and see the flap and see the flap. If you look at autopsies, which I have looked at many, I work with Gil Hedley, one of the top autopsy guys in the world. We discovered between the two of us interstitium. Interstitium is tiny little black balls that are attached to fibers, and the fibers are what they call a fascia fuzz. He was doing videos about fuzz for stretching and making sure that you were supple in your body, because it's all glued together, and additionally, synovial joints in humans have a coefficient of friction which is 4 times better than Teflon on Teflon. You have to move like this in every bit of your body, all your tendons, and all of the different fibers, because you're moving all the time. You're moving, you're doing this, you're doing it, you're stretching, you're rip, you drip. Well, there's balls attached to all these little fibers, and that's how you go back to where you were when you started before you stretched. And that's the interstitium, and we started back, 2012, I don't know, 2013, 2014, I was working with Gil on this, 2015, and then I was posting it all over. And 2015, they announced that they had found a new organ called the interstitium. And look it up, interstitium, new organ found 2015. Well, Gil and I were working on this years before that, at least a year or two before that. And I was calling around trying to get everybody to understand this, and Gil's the only one who would talk to me. Everybody else literally wouldn't talk to me. I even took a course at Johns Hopkins, and the professor was just absolutely unbelievable. Very, very difficult. Steven Salzberg would refuse to examine my stuff. I said, he was my professor. Anyway, water over a dam. Let's get past it and get to examining this stuff for reality. I even have new species. That's what I call no toes. Inside there is toes. This is where the fibula would come down. That's where the tibia rested right there. And this, you see the black and the little reddish right here? That is blood running out from where that sat there. Now, we have a ton of these. Tish Egerton has a ton of them. Hold on. Well, let me show you something else. You want to see a giant? All right. Take your time and look carefully at what you see. Because I'm going to go out later. This stuff is on my property, and I have it. I have all the details of where it is and the stone fences and where the house is located and distances and all this. Because if I died tomorrow, nobody's ever going to find this. It's just gone. And it's right here on my property. Now, that is a fingertip. You see this? That is the fingernail. You see that round spot right there? That is where the bone would have met the next bone down. These two little spots, I believe, are the same as these. Hold on. Never mind. I can't find it. I don't know, it's around here somewhere. But anyway, this is all, I believe these are the blood, vein and artery type of thing going in there. Because I have another one that shows it also exactly in that spot. Now, that's a goose. That's a goose head or some kind of a waterfowl or a fowl of some sort of bird. I don't know, maybe it's an eagle for all I know. But that's its head, and that's its beak. Now, it wouldn't be an eagle. An eagle has a real sharp hooked beak. I think it's a goose. And it died lying like this after the flood. And I think they all died after the flood. And you see how it's flat as a pancake on one side? They are all like that. They're all like that. You know, some of them, this one here, I don't know about these. This one here is just huge. That's 30 inches almost across the width of here. I think it's 36 inches that way. Now, I'm going to be going out into the woods and I'm going to get some video of actually walking the distance to where I go and all this stuff, because they're right on my property. And the crazy thing is, look at this. We had a office built for my wife here. I did business out of my house, and I had my office down here, and she has hers over here, so it's good. You know, we never meet until we hit in the middle by accident now. So her office is over here. But in the meantime, when they dug this up, we were here for, I don't know, 15 years or something, and then we put an office in for her. And when they dug it down, they took the dirt and they piled it down here. And one day, 15 years later after this, I'm down here trying to find some rocks to fix a wall. So I was doing something, looking for some rocks, and I ran into all this stuff. And I realized it came out of here, and that's where the hand came from. This is different. This is way up in the back out in this area, which I will show later. I have 10 acres of property, and it's all stone walls, and there's a bazillion stones. What do you see on the video? They're just stone after stone after stone, and they're all body parts. They're all body parts. And if you start looking, you can find literally, I'm going to show you, not only do I have this, but right across the way, right next to it, I have another fingertip that's almost the same size. And it's absolutely no question you're going to see. Or it's a toe. I'm not sure which it is. And that could be a toe. Again, I don't really know. But this has either toe prints or fingerprints on it. And it might be toe prints, because the fingerprints seem to wrap around the finger. I don't know about the toe, if the toe wraps the same way. But anyway, I found another, not this one, another one, which is chocolate colored. It was really in the mud, and that's why the hand was found under the mud in this. And this toe was sitting right up on the top. And I only found that, I don't know, a year or so ago when I was out walking the dog. Right on the top of the ground. I just picked it up. I said, holy smokes, it's the toe from this guy. And you can see, I've got him out back. We're going to wash him up and look at him today. And I'll show you how the anatomy works and all that. But look at this. His body runs here. The hill runs right up here. His hand is here. Now, he's a pretty good sized guy. I would say, and my well goes right here. I'm drinking water. I drink water filtered by a giant's body. Basically, his heart is right there, as far as I can determine. If his toe was down here and his foot was down here, and his hand is up here, he might have died down, like laying out this way. Because this is a pretty good distance. This is over 100 feet. The house is 100 feet long, 96 feet. So, and this was back this way a little bit. So, that's a good distance. And he's not, I don't think the body part is big enough to stretch this far, 100 feet. I think he's more like a 60-footer. So I would have to say his arm would be way out, or I don't know how to, maybe a hand rolled over there, because the body is up here. And you can see, I can tell the body's up there because it's all moss. And they say, oh no, Roger, that's because it's in the shade. No, it's not. It's moss grows on bloody things. Watch this. This here, hold on, let's see if I can find this. Aha. Remember I told you I have new species and I have them coming out of my ears. I call them no-toes. Like this, they have the toes built into them. All right. And here's one right here. That's where the toes were. And that's where the blood runs up from the back of the foot up to the... That's why moss is growing out there. It's not growing out there for nothing. They need some food source, and they love blood. And lichen loves blood too. This one here, this kind of moss grows on fleshy blood, red blood. The lichen, I believe, is more suited to the black blood. Like this one right here. I believe this is a lung. Pretty sure that was a lung, and it just got flattened somehow. Now, you don't see any lichen hardly on this side. There's a red side to the lung and a black side, and that's the black side. That's why you see this lichen growing here on the black side. The red side, as I will show you another lung, this one here literally bled on my shop. Now this would have the black side where that lichen would have grown, and this would have been growing moss from the actual blood. Very strange, but it's all true. And it just needs to be looked at. And that's where I have the issue.